There have now been dozens of elite closers in Major League history: Hoffman, Eckersley, Gossage, Kimbrel, Jansen, and Chapman. Well, sometimes. And there's more cropping up every day, with the likes of flamethrowers like Felix Bautista, Edwin Diaz, and Emmanuel Clase electrifying crowds with their nasty pitches and unforgettable entrances. But there's never been a closer quite like Mariano Rivera. There's never been a pitcher who entered the game from the bullpen who projected such dominance, radiated such certainty. When Mo jogged through the open bullpen doors, the game was as good as over. Rivera's longtime manager with the New York Yankees, Joe Torre, who never took anything for granted, called the formidable reliever the greatest assumption of my life. Others called him the Sandman, the Great One, or the Hammer of God. And every batter who faced him, indeed everyone in the ballpark, knew what pitch was coming. Rivera's cut fastball was almost certainly the best ever thrown of that pitch type, and perhaps the single most effective pitch in baseball history. After all, the best hitters in the game, and in some cases of all time, knew it was coming beyond a shadow of a doubt. And like little leaguers going up against an 85-mile-per-hour heater, they could do very little about it. Rivera rode that pitch to a record 652 career saves, 5 World Series championships, and a .221 career ERA, the best by any pitcher born after 1889. He became the first player ever inducted unanimously into the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's right, there's been just one player ever inducted without a single vote being cast against them, and it's not Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Randy Johnson, Ted Williams, or Nolan Ryan. It's Mariano Rivera. Mo's roots are as humble as they come. He was raised in a fishing village in Panama. His family lived in a 2-bedroom house with a tin roof on a dirt road. They had no water or electricity. Mariano Rivera spent 14-hour days out in his fishing boat. The neighborhood kids played baseball with bats made from tree branches, gloves made from milk cartons, and baseballs made from fish nets and electrical tape. Rivera didn't get his first real glove until he was 16 years old. When he was 18, Mariano was invited to play with an amateur team in Panama's top adult league. There, despite a fastball topping out at just 87 miles per hour, his accuracy and smooth delivery caught the eye of a Yankee scout, and he was signed at age 20 to a $2,000 contract in 1990. Most Latin American prospects were identified as teenagers, and the top ones received much bigger contracts than Rivera's, but he had earned a ticket to the US, a little bit of money, and, most importantly, a chance. When he first arrived in the Gulf Coast League, Rivera spoke only Spanish and wrote long letters home at night to his girlfriend and family. He quickly proved he could command his fastball anywhere in the strike zone, but he had just a below average slider and changeup to go with it. And when he hurt his elbow and had to get Tommy John surgery as a minor leaguer, it looked like his career might be over before it had even begun. But Rivera bounced back quickly and worked his ass off to both learn the native language and make a full recovery all at the same time. From here, he started picking up more velocity and correspondingly saw his ascent through the minors take off. He got his call to New York and the majors in 1995 after injuries to key Yankees starting pitchers Jimmy Key and Scott Kamenecki. Rivera made his major league debut as a starter on May 23rd against the California Angels. He gave up 5 runs in 3 1/3 innings and took the loss. After the game, Jack Curry of the New York Times wrote, "Another shabby outing by another young pitcher," a daunting headline to saddle a 25-year-old newcomer with, but Rivera persevered. With the fastball now pushing 95, a rare feat in the 90s, he came back later in the season and pitched a 2-hit shutout against the Chicago White Sox, striking out 11. By the end of the 1995 season, the wiry 6'2" Rivera was now in the bullpen and made a big contribution to the Yankees' postseason run. In Game 2 of the ALDS against the Seattle Mariners, Rivera entered the game at a critical moment with 1 on in the top of the 12th inning and the Yankees trailing by a run. He struck out Jay Buhner and went on to throw 3 1/3 shutout innings, earning his first postseason win when Jim Leyritz blasted a dramatic 15th inning home run to win it. That year as a rookie, he had made 10 starts and 9 relief appearances, going 5-3 with a .551 ERA. He still had not truly earned his spot on the roster after this somewhat mediocre campaign, and the Yankees thought about trading their 25-year-old first-year starter to the Detroit Tigers for David Wells. It almost happened before being nixed by the Yankees themselves. This would go on to be one of the most consequential keeps in Yankee history. Even though the Yankees had ended up failing to claim their first World Series in over a decade in 1995, they were still primed to be contenders that next year. Rivera had proved himself in high-leverage spots, but the Yankees already had a closer, John Wetland. Manager Joe Torre decided to use Rivera in the setup role, establishing a 6-2-1 strategy whereby the Yankee starter would be followed by 2 innings of Rivera and then Wetland in the 9th. Mo and John proved to be a nearly invincible tandem for Torrey. The Yankees won 29 out of the 31 games in which the two appeared like that, and all but one of Rivera's 26 holds resulted in a save for Wetland. The team also had a 70-3 record when leading after the 6th inning that season. Rivera enjoyed a breakout season, earning 5 saves of his own to go along with a 2.09 ERA and 2.40 ERA+. That's right, he was almost 2.5 times more valuable than an average big league pitcher that campaign. At one point, he threw 26 consecutive scoreless innings, including 15 consecutive hitless innings. He even finished 3rd in the American League Cy Young Award voting. The Yankees also finally got to the World Series, winning it for the first time since 1978. Rivera pitched 5 2/3 innings in the 6-game series against the Atlanta Braves, logging an ERA of just 1.59. Mo's first taste of success in 1996 was just the beginning for the burgeoning Yankees dynasty, and the man who would become the best closer the game had ever seen. After John Wetland departed through free agency over the winter, the closing job fell on Rivera. It did not go well at first. Mo blew 3 of his first 6 save chances to start the 1997 season. He admitted he did not yet feel comfortable in the role. Joe Torre pulled him aside and warned his young closer that he was trying too hard to be perfect, and that he needed to relax a little bit. Rivera responded by picking up 12 straight saves, and then his first All-Star appearance, where he also picked up his first All-Star save. But the big moment for Rivera, and for the history of the game in general, came just before the All-Star break. It was a human Monday, June 23, 1997, in Detroit's Tiger Stadium. Rivera was in the bullpen warming up with Yankees teammate Ramiro Mendoza when the gods decided to turn his right arm into a weapon of mass destruction for baseball bats everywhere. The 4-seam fastballs Rivera threw to Mendoza started to dart about a foot to the left. The pitcher couldn't catch them and worried he might get hurt trying, so he handed over the reins to bullpen catcher Mike Borzello. He too had trouble catching the pitch, which Rivera claimed he was throwing normally. Just like that, Mo's once straight fastball had deserted him, and in its place was a cutter which he could not stop from moving, even when he tried. As Rivera later put it was as if the pitch was dropped straight from the heavens into my hands. In the ensuing weeks, Mo worked with Yankees pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre to refine the pitch and learn how to control it. In time, he figured out with subtle changes to his grip and finger pressure, Rivera could place the cutter wherever he wanted. It would explode away from right-handed hitters and into lefties, with movement so late that hitters were helpless to adjust to it. At times, it seemed to be an outright act of wizardry, defying the very laws of physics with its 6 to 8 inch movement off the plate at the very last moment, by which time the batter would be mid-swing. This gave him perhaps the greatest tool for making homemade lumber in the history of Major League Baseball, and he ran with it. Armed with this new pitch during the second half of the 1997 season, Rivera wound up notching 43 saves along with a minuscule 1.88 ERA and another roughly 2.40 ERA plus season. He also began using his signature entrance theme, Enter Sandman by Metallica. When Rivera came into the game with his cut fastball in tow, it was must-see television, and Yankees fans everywhere were enthralled. Unfortunately, Rivera and the Yankees were not able to defend their World Series title that year, losing in the ALDS to Cleveland. Rivera gave up an uncharacteristic game-tying home run to Sandy Alomar Jr. in Game 4, which Cleveland won in extra innings. Rivera vowed to himself never to let that happen again, and indeed, after that, he would not allow another postseason run for 23 games, tossing a record 34 1/3 consecutive postseason scoreless innings. The Yankees reloaded in 1998 and won a daunting 114 regular season games, and the first of 9 consecutive AL East titles. Rivera overcame an early season groin injury to go 3-0 with a 191 ERA and 36 saves. His ERA plus, a new career high at 257. The Yankees went on to beat the San Diego Padres in the World Series, earning themselves their first of 3 consecutive titles. Rivera tallied saves in the first, third, and fourth games of the series, concluding a postseason in which he allowed no runs in 13 1/3 innings and recorded 6 saves. In 1998, Rivera led the American League with 45 saves and again posted another ERA under 2 at 1.83, winning his first of 3 Rolaids Relief Man of the Year awards. In the 28 games he appeared in after July 21st, Rivera did not allow a single earned run. The Yankees defended their World Series title successfully as well, sweeping the Braves as Mo earned the series MVP by recording a win and 2 saves, while pitching 4 2/3 scoreless innings. During the clinching game, Rivera broke Atlanta hitter Ryan Klesko's bat 3 times in one plate appearance, giving birth to one of the most iconic moments of his career. All told, during the 18 games of the 1998 and 1999 playoffs, nobody scored a run off Rivera. Not a single run. Both Rivera and the Yankees slipped a little bit in 2000, with the Bronx Bombers dropping 27 wins off their total from 2 years ago to go 87 and 74, with Rivera posting the worst ERA and ERA plus since his rookie year at 2.85 and 170. But come October, the Yankees, who still somehow won the AL East, found themselves in the World Series yet again, this time against their crosstown rival Mets. Rivera picked up 2 more World Series saves and was yet again on the hill for the final play of the series when he got Mike Piazza to fly out to Bernie Williams in center field. With that out, Rivera became the only pitcher to record the final out in 3 consecutive World Series. But alas, all good things must come to an end, or bad things depending on how you feel about the Yankees. In 2001, Rivera notched a career-high 50 saves, breaking the Yankee franchise record of 46 set by Dave Righetti in 1986. It was another typically great Mo season, a 2.34 ERA, 0.91 WHIP, and over 9 Ks per 9. He and the Yankees again returned to the World Series, this time against the Arizona Diamondbacks. But this is where the train would take a bit of a detour from the norm. With the series tied at 3 games apiece, Rivera took the mound in the 8th inning with the Yankees leading 2-1. They were looking to capture their 5th title in 6 years, and with their lights-out closer on the hill, things were looking pretty good. And after Rivera struck out the side in the 8th, things were looking really good. At that point, the Yankees were 155-1 in franchise history when leading a postseason game after 8 innings. Then, incredibly, things went sideways on Rivera and the Yankees in the 9th. Mo himself first botched a bunt play by Damian Miller, then one Tony Womack double and Luis Gonzalez single later, and the Diamondbacks were celebrating their first World Series championship as Rivera, the Yankees, and the world stared on in disbelief. Gonzalez's hit wasn't even a good one. It was a routine pop-up under normal conditions, but with the infield in, it was just enough. It would be Rivera's first and only career postseason loss in 96 appearances. In 2002, Rivera battled injuries which limited him to 46 innings, 28 saves, and another low ERA plus for him of 163. What's more, for the first time in what felt like ages, the Yankees failed to advance past the first round of the playoffs. But in 2003, Mo and the Yankees were back. Mariano put up 40 saves along with a 166 ERA, the best of his career to that point. And when New York found themselves in a make-or-break Game 7 of the ALCS against their arch-rival Boston Red Sox, it was Rivera who stepped up to toss 3 scoreless innings late until Aaron Boone launched a walk-off homer to send the Yankees to the World Series, which they ended up losing to the Florida Marlins, courtesy of an all-time performance by rookie Josh Beckett. Rivera reeled off another career-high 53 saves in 2004 and squared off against the Boston Red Sox in an ALCS rematch. Again, Rivera would find himself in the middle of baseball history, and this time, as in Arizona, on the losing side. Clinging to a 4-3 lead in Game 4 and up 3-0 over the Red Sox in the series, Rivera entered the game to send the Yankees to yet another World Series. Rivera walked Kevin Millar, and pinch runner Dave Roberts then proceeded to steal perhaps the most important base in Red Sox history. Mo then threw a cutter to Boston's Bill Mueller, and it didn't cut enough. Mueller lined it up the middle, and Roberts scored the tying run. The Red Sox would later win on a David Ortiz walk-off home run. Rivera then blew his second save in as many nights by failing to close out the ALCS in Game 5. This was the only time in his storied career he would blow back-to-back postseason saves. The Red Sox went on from there to come back to win the ALCS before going on to win the World Series for the first time in 86 years. For nearly a decade, Mariano Rivera pitched in some of the biggest games in the sport. If you were watching playoff baseball during this time, you were witnessing history, and also the mastery of Mariano. However, in his last 9 big league seasons from 2005 to 2013, the Yankees were no longer as dominant, winning only a single championship in that time. But Rivera maintained his stranglehold over the league. At age 35, he nailed down 43 saves in 2005 to go with the career-low 138 ERA, also posting his first campaign with an ERA plus over 300. He followed that up with the 180 ERA in 2006, when he also became the 4th Major League pitcher ever to reach 400 saves. In 2007, the Yankees made Mo the highest paid reliever in baseball history by signing him to a 3-year, $45 million contract, and he repaid them in 2008 by converting 39 of 40 opportunities with a 140 ERA. It was during this season he posted his career high in ERA plus, at a staggering mark of 316. The Yankees and Rivera won that last title in 2009, beating the Phillies in 5 games to close out the team's 27th championship and Rivera's 5th. It also marked a record 4th time he closed out the Fall Classic. Not content to stop there, Rivera posted 33 saves and a 180 ERA in his age 40 season in 2010, and the records continue to pile up. In May 2011, Rivera pitched in his 1,000th career game, the most by any pitcher with one team. Later that season, he recorded the 602nd save of his career, passing Trevor Hoffman for the all-time lead. Prior to the 2013 season, Rivera announced he would retire at year's end. So how would the 43-year-old perform in his final campaign? How about saving 44 games with a 2.11 ERA? New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg declared September 22nd of that season Mariano Rivera Day. Metallica performed a live rendition of Enter Sandman, and Mariano became the only active player to have his number retired, also becoming the last major leaguer ever to wear number 42, Jackie Robinson's now universally retired number. A few days later, Rivera made his last appearance for the Yankees, retiring all 4 batters he faced before he was pulled from the game. Longtime teammates Derek Jeter and Andy Pettitte went to the mound as 48,675 fans at Yankee Stadium cheered and chanted Mariano. Mo fought back the tears. Baseball's best closer had exited his final game. Mariano Rivera's career numbers are jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, and quite simply unbelievable. In 19 seasons, he posted a record 652 saves. His career ERA of 2.21 ranks first among all pitchers who started their career in the live ball era, as does his 952 games finished and 205 career ERA+. He was named to 13 All-Star teams and was a 5-time World Series champion. A good case can also be made that Rivera was the greatest pitcher postseason baseball has ever seen. Over 96 playoff appearances, his ERA was 0.7 in 141 innings, with a 0.76 whip, 42 saves, and just 1 career loss. But Rivera's legacy goes beyond the numbers. His effectiveness, dependability, and longevity were unrivaled in his era. He spent his full career in Yankee pinstripes, embodying a model of class on and off the field, respected by everyone who played with and against him. Major League Baseball even named an award after him to recognize the American League Reliever of the Year. As the longtime Yankees manager Joe Girardi once put it, he's the best I've ever been around. Mo might have also possessed the best pitch ever thrown by a Major League arm. Even those who enjoyed success against him, like Ichiro Suzuki, who went 6 for 15 lifetime with a walk-off dinger, labeled his cutter as the single toughest pitch they ever faced. The cutter itself, which has proliferated in recent years partially because of Rivera's success, is also one of his greatest legacies. But of course, while there are many imitators today, there are still no real rivals. All of this, and so much more than we could ever put into one video, is why we at MTC believe we can safely say, there will never be another Mariano Rivera. Now, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing, and click this playlist for other essay content just like this. Have a great day, everyone.